and welcome to this Dialogue Extra. I'm Marcia Franklin. With me is Phil Cly. He's a Marine Corps veteran who is now an accomplished author. His first book, Redeployment, won the National Book Award. Thanks for staying a little bit longer to talk about how you wrote the book. Now, it took 4 years, right?
4.5, yeah.
And how did you come up with the idea of 12 stories, 12 voices? Is there significance to the number 12? I mean, it's a prominent number in religion, obviously.
It felt right. When very early on when I was writing the book, because originally I was writing stories and I was writing a novel at the same time. And I liked a lot of the writing in the novel that I was working on, but I abandoned it because it seemed like the stories were allowing me to get at what I wanted in a better fashion. And so from the outset, I had the sense not just of sort of 12 discrete stories, but something that hopefully would have a build, stories that would kind of talk to each other and have an arc to it. So the structure of the book was something that was emerging very quickly, and you sort of work by feel a lot. I had a sense of what was missing and what I needed to read and educate myself on, so I would be able to write different pieces that I wanted in the collection.
So 12 wasn't a predetermined number?
Not from the beginning.
Okay.
But then, as it got closer, I was looking at what I felt I needed.
Because it does have some symbolism.
Certainly.
The number
absolutely.
12.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's no journalist per se. There's a mention of a journalist, in somebody's dialogue, but there's no story about a journalist in here, even though you worked quite closely
Yes,
with
I did.
journalists. Did you ever think about writing a story from the perspective
I
of
did,
a
yeah.
journalist?
There are all these different angles I could have taken, and sometimes I'm asked, why is there no female Marine narrator? Why is there no Iraqi narrator? Why is no military family member? But I actually, I wasn't trying to do something all-inclusive, and I really didn't want to do something where there was a kind of token story of this or that. I wanted, the stories were more determined by the themes that I was chasing down, than to try and get in all these different perspectives, and that's a whole other world even unto itself. That's a really interesting one to explore.
Well, when you were accepting the National Book Award, you talked to the audience a bit about the questions that you had when you wrote this book. Let's take a listen to that piece of tape.
What do you do when you're struggling to find the words to explain to the father of a fallen Marine exactly what that Marine meant to you? What do you do when one of your best Marines calls you to tell you he's been drinking too much, that he feels isolated at college, surrounded by 18-year-olds he can't make sense of and who can't make sense of him? What do you make of it when the middle school students you're teaching ask you if you've killed anyone and are horribly disappointed when you say no? When strangers at a bar insist on treating you as though you must be psychologically damaged just because you're a vet? Or when friends of yours who do indeed have post-traumatic stress find that they can't express their legitimate feelings of grief and rage about what has happened and continues to happen overseas and at home?
So it's about the questions, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And some of those questions that you mentioned are encapsulated in the characters that you drew. Not necessarily any answers, right? But it's the questions that are important.
Absolutely.
To ask.
And to, I think to get people to start thinking about those questions, thinking about them on a human level, right? I mean, the beautiful thing about fiction is you get to enter into other people's heads and imagine what that experience feels like from the inside. And then, to have people answer those for themselves in their own ways, but to be engaged with it.
Did you get inside the heads? Did that happen to you as you were writing? That
That's what you
were
try to
the
do.
character?
Yeah, that's what you try to
If
do.
the character was shooting a dog, you were shooting a dog, or a person.
You imagine it, right?
How do you write? Do you write longhand a lot?
I always start by hand, yeah. I write out by hand, and then I usually transfer it to a computer at some point. Sometimes I go back and rewrite by hand, and then I'll send it out to friends, get feedback, send it out to more friends,
So
get
you
feedback.
find that the act of writing, because I enjoy writing longhand as well, is
It's very different. There's less, I don't worry as much about exactly what I'm putting down. The first time I'm writing a story, I'm just trying to figure out what it is I'm writing in the first place. To set kind of the left and right lateral limits of what this story is trying to do. Everything I'm writing, I'm trying to do something different, and I don't know how to write that story yet. I'm an amateur at writing that story. The only way to become an expert at writing that story is to write it over and over again, and have smart friends help you out. And in the process of writing, you learn what your gaps are and what you thought you knew but you didn't. You put these ideas into a story that you're trying to write, and then you put pressure on those ideas, and you try and make the characters live and breathe, and the characters invariably just kind of destroy whatever you thought you knew about the world. So it's a kind of long, slow process. But yeah, when I'm writing by hand, I just spill it on the page, which is really useful.
Now, I know when you were doing your job in Iraq, you didn't necessarily have time to write, but were you in the back of your head thinking, oh, here's a character, this is a character, this is a line, this is a...
I didn't think of it that way. I didn't actually tried to write while I was in Iraq, not about war, just stories, just not about war at all. I always wrote. I didn't have like a plan to write about war. I always kept notes of things that happened, whether war related or not, that interested me. And so, yeah, some of that stuff made it into the book.
And what's the role of poetry for you?
I love poetry.
I know I've talked to other veteran writers as well, and they poetry is a mainstay for them. It's a lodestar.
Well, there's first of all, there's just an amazing tradition of war poetry. Also, if you're really interested in language and voice and how the rhythms and structures of language are working for you, memorizing poems is probably about the best thing you could possibly do.
You did, didn't you, to keep your mind occupied?
Right, yeah, absolutely. So, and when you memorize stuff, you get really close to the language. And when you're writing, one of the things that you're looking for is, early versions of all the stories, they don't necessarily have the voice yet, the kind of rhythms of the way this guy talks, the way that he thinks. But if you read, you read poetry and you sort of get those rhythms into your head and try and figure out the particular rhythms for this character, it certainly helps. And you just find really sharply articulated moments and ideas in poetry.
That's right. It narrows it down, pinpoints it.
Yeah.
How did you get the dialogue down so well? Because you must have worked on that and talked to people, and I assume it was really important to you to get that dialogue for each character.
Well, you listen to the way that people talk,
yeah.
And also you read it aloud to yourself and rewrite it a million times.
Have others look at it and say,
Have others
no,
look
this
at it.
person wouldn't
Yeah,
say it
exactly.
that way. You had one of my favorite interviewees, Colin McCann,
Yeah.
as a
Colin's
teacher,
fantastic guy, as a mentor of mine at Hunter.
I remember telling him that his words I could taste them sometimes, you know what I mean?
Right.
They were just so perfect. I mean, they embodied not just the visual element of reading the word, but a sound or a smell or a
and
taste.
movement too. I mean,
he's
when he writes about Nureyev as a dancer or a transatlantic flight, I mean, the rhythms of that language kind of match in a really beautiful way what he's describing. It's tremendous.
How much did being in a veterans writing program assist you? Because I know you did that as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a NYU ran a program, still does, a writing program for veterans. It was free, came in on Saturdays, and it was great because you're around a group of really, smart, thoughtful guys and girls who are all kind of working through the same questions that you are and finding their own answers to them and critiquing each other's work. We ended up putting together an anthology of fiction by veterans and 14 veterans and one Army spouse called Fire and Forget.
Fire and Forget.
Yeah, which is a really wonderful experience. And just to be able to have that dialogue. And veterans will, call you out on particular types of BS, which is very useful if you're a writer. So yeah, it was great. And I'm still, in touch with a lot of those folks, and we still trade work.
So for a veteran watching, that would be a good piece of advice to try and find a veterans writing group.
Yeah, to find readers, and to I had
civilians helped you too.
Civilians, I had civilian readers who were really helpful and gave me really valuable insight, and then also veteran writers as well. It was tremendous.
What writing would you recommend to people? What works, either that have come out or that are about to come out, would you recommend that people read about?
Right.
About
I mean,
war?
there's a lot of really just wonderful. There's great journalism. David Finkel's *The Good Soldiers*, I think, is a fantastic book. Dexter Filkins' *The Forever War*.
Dexter gave you a wonderful review.
He did. The Special Inspector General for Iraq Reconstruction report, *Hard Lessons*, is I think actually a really useful thing for probably all Americans should read it because it goes through the policy decisions that were made and the consequences of those. There's really wonderful fiction coming out. So some civilian writers, Ben Fountain's Billy Lynn's *Long Halftime Walk* is a fantastic book. Lee Carpenter's *11 Days*. Roxana Robinson's *Sparta*.
I interviewed Kevin Powers about
Kevin's
the Yellow Birds.
book, absolutely. David Abrams' *Fobbit*. There's I already mentioned Elliot Ackerman's *Green on Blue*. There's a book. *Fire and Forget*, naturally, is a wonderful anthology, and *War of the Encyclopedists*, which I mentioned, is coming out soon. That's going to be a very interesting.
In which you get killed off.
Yeah.
But there's more to it, obviously.
It's a great book, yeah.
Yeah, and what about female writers coming from this experience?
There's some really good memoirs that are out. Kayla Williams, her first memoir is called *Love My Rifle More Than You*. Jessica Goodell's *Shaded Black*. In *Fire and Forget*, there's a writer, Mariette Kalinowski, and I know Mariette's working on a novel, so we're very excited. Yeah, I'm very curious to see what comes. And there's some great poetry. There's some Brian Turner, who also has a memoir as well, and Maurice DeCall is a very interesting poet and did an album with Lynn Hill, who was a drone pilot, and the jazz.
A drone pilot?
She was, and a jazz musician, Vijay Iyer, which is really just a tremendous piece of work. It's called *Holding It Down*.
Holding It Down,
yeah.
And work coming out from Iraqis as well.
Yes, Hassan Blasiem's *The Corpse Exhibition*. Hassan Blasiem wasn't in Iraq during the occupation, but it's a very interesting collection of stories. There's *Voices from Iraq* is an oral history that I'd recommend. And there's a book that's being translated now called *Frankenstein in Baghdad* that I'm looking forward to reading when it comes out. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of work that I'm very interested to see what comes. It all kind of enriches our understanding of both what we've done and what's continuing to happen.
Yeah. Any pushback from the military about your book?
I've had a very positive response for the most part. I didn't know what the response would be necessarily because the stories are sometimes very dark, but it has been very positive, and I think it's been really gratifying for me to see that and people engaging with the work. And I think there's a willingness to say, okay, let's talk about everything involved in the experience, and not just not just the good stuff, right? Because the bad stuff is a part of it too. I know, I interviewed a World War II veteran, and when I met him, he told me one of the worst war stories I'd ever heard, the most horrific, and that's, that was the thing that he was holding with him for decades, right? Even though it's the good war and the war that we feel good about, there's still that aspect of it.
The war to end all wars.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thanks for taking time to talk about your writing process and to recommend some books for our viewers and listeners. I will write those up and put those on our
right.
on our website for folks, because there was quite a number of them, and I'd like to know them for myself as well, so I'll put that down. Thanks so much. You've been listening to Phil Cly. He's a Marine Corps veteran and also an accomplished author. His first book, Redeployment, won the National Book Award. I'm Marcia Franklin.